A very good evening. You're watching Primetime News live from the Newsfirst studios. I'm Adushka Balasuriya.
And I'm Nicola Dizoiza. We start off with tonight's headlines.
President presents 5,000 new Ranbima land deeds. A challenge to Minister Nimal Siripala De Silva from the JVP.
උමාවේ අපේ පළාතට අපේ දිස්ත්‍රික්කයට හානියක් එන්න ප්‍රසිද්ධ විවාදයකට මාත් සමග.
Proposal to introduce a regulated system for removing low-income housing under prevailing laws defeated at the Western Provincial Council. Department of Irrigation lodges complaint with the police over timber racket in Ampara. Action TV investigates.
In your top story tonight, an event was held in Colombo today to donate another 5,000 Ranbima land deeds under the auspices of President Mahinda Rajapaksa. Addressing the event, President Rajapaksa stated that the programs being implemented by the government for social welfare will never falter.
The event, which was held at the Sugardasa Stadium in Colombo, marked the 13th phase of the program to donate land deeds. The Presidential Media Unit noted that the Land Reforms Commission has distributed over 50,000 deeds over the past 7 years. A total of 500,000 deeds have been distributed in total by all governmental organizations. We bathed from rivers and from our wells and we didn't pay anyone. But now there are taps, and when you turn it on, there is water. You get to bathe using showers. At the end of the month, you do get a bill. It is the same with electricity. We are not here to serve just one class. We must work for the betterment of the entire nation. Just like the construction of roads from the north to the south and from east to the west. Our next step will be to lay down pipelines to provide clean water to the entire nation. They will scold us and find fault in these attempts taken by us as well. But we will still move forward. I am accustomed to being berated now.
According to international media reports, President Mahinda Rajapaksa has stated that Sri Lanka will deny visas to UN investigators probing accusations of war crimes. The President had expressed these views to the Foreign Correspondents Association today.
According to Reuters, President Mahinda Rajapaksa has stated, quote, "We will not allow them into the country," unquote, and added that any cases of missing persons or allegations of misdeeds will be investigated through the local panel. Responding to outgoing UN Human Rights Chief Navi Pillai's statement that the UN probe could still go ahead without travelling to Sri Lanka, the President had stated that no one other than the people who want the investigation would take it seriously. Meanwhile, Al Jazeera reports that the President has stated that although Sri Lanka is against the probe, they are ready to fully cooperate and engage with other UN agencies. Meanwhile, 2 more members were appointed to the Presidential Commission investigating cases of missing persons in Sri Lanka. The 2 members are Professor Avdash Kaushal, an Indian human rights activist, and Pakistani national Ahmad Bilal Sufi, a former caretaker federal law minister in Pakistan and an international law expert.
Moving into other local news, JVP group leader in the Uva province, Samantha Vidyaratna, has extended an open challenge to Minister Nimal Siripala De Silva to face him in a public debate. He made this statement yesterday while meeting with people who will lose their lands to the Uma Oya scheme.
I challenge Nimal Siripala De Silva to face me in a public debate regarding the harm that the Uma Oya project is causing to our area. Water from this project is being taken to the south. In spite of their lies, the water is being taken for the Hambantota airport and harbour. I shall prove the loss that is being incurred here, the harm that is being caused, the destruction that is being wrought on the people. I will highlight the problems that will be faced in the future.
Up next is our special segment, The Battle for Uva.
You can see that there is major development taking place in the country. There is a problem. The cost of living is high. In truth, the cost of living is high. The International Monetary Fund says today that it is a wonder that poverty in Sri Lanka has been reduced to 4%.
How can this be the wonder of Asia? It is one of the 5 poorest countries in Asia. It is one of the 30 failed states in the world. If you are living in a country while being indebted to the world, it is not development. You and 5 generations to come are in debt to the world.
It is true that poverty and hunger must be reiterated. You do not need to make yourself hoarse over it. Poverty was prevalent even during the time of the UMP. That is why we have established the mobile service to go to the villages and look into poverty and hunger and the wants and needs of the people.
So far, the norm has been that the voter is defeated while the person who gets the vote is victorious. The persons who get the vote are victorious while the voting public is defeated.
My friends, they are trying to raise a non-existent view in this country. As long as the roads are being built and you receive water, food and increased wages, you are okay.
They say the ordinary people do not need anything because they are poor and they will not understand. The man comes to the people and asks them to take what is given. That is the situation.
Meanwhile, tensions flared at the monthly meeting of the Bope Podala Pradeshia Sabha today. A tense situation arose following protests by two members of the Pradeshia Sabha.
Ruling party member of the Bope Podala Pradeshia Sabha, Premalala Besekara, and the opposition leader of the council, Mohammad Rishad, expressed their protest in this fashion. The two members climbed onto the table at the center of the council meeting and demanded that unauthorized constructions at the Labudu market complex be removed and that the 3-year-long water shortage in the Araliyavat area be resolved. The two members remained on top of the council table until the meeting was adjourned.
If you're just tuning in, you're watching Newsfirst Primetime News, and up next is Action TV.
In a backdrop where the law is not being implemented against a backdrop of persons who illegally felled and bundled a kumbuk tree within the Olam Ala Forest Reserve in Kotavehera, Ampara, the Zonal Irrigation Engineers Office of Ampara filed a complaint with the police yesterday. The Ampara office of the State Timber Corporation knows that the value of a haul of kumbuk wood seized by them in the Kotavehera division on Friday has been estimated at 700,000 rupees. The raid was carried out under the instructions of the Ampara District Wildlife Office. When the raids unit of the State Timber Corporation seized the timber on Tuesday, it was revealed that one of the two individuals who were bundling the timber was in fact an individual from Iniagala who is out on bail and has been linked to a number of timber racketing charges. It was also discovered that two officials attached to the Divisional Secretariat of Ampara were steering the task of bundling the timber. On Saturday, Action TV highlighted the fact that the Ampara Divisional Secretary had informed the Grama Seva officer of Kotavehera in writing to assist a group of officials from the Divisional Secretariat. While some of the contents of this letter are false, the most serious factor here is that the Ampara Divisional Secretary has attempted to mislead the Grama Seva officer by noting that copies of the letter have been addressed to the State Timber Corporation, the Ampara District Forest Officer and the Superintendent of Police in Ampara. However, it was on Friday when Action TV made inquiries that the Ampara District Forest Officer and the State Timber Corporation came to know of the fact that there was a letter being issued in this manner. Although the State Timber Corporation took over custody of the stock of timber in question from the Ampara District Forest Office, keeping the office in the loop of the development in a new twist, the Ampara Zonal Irrigation Engineers Office has challenged this process. The Irrigation Engineers Office says that as a kumbuk tree in question was located at a waterway within the reserve, the timber comes under their purview.
I was not informed of this, nor was I consulted for permission in this regard. After this report was highlighted by the Sirasa media, a group of officials from the Zonal Irrigation Engineers Office visited the location and investigated the matter. They witnessed that one tree was felled and that another 4 trees had been harmed by setting them on fire. After the investigation, steps were taken to file a complaint with the police.
පරීක්ෂා කිරීමෙන් අනතුරු මේ පිළිබඳව පොලිසියේ පැමිණිල්ලක් යොදන්න කටයුතු කරලා තියෙනවා.
However, in his letter written on Wednesday, the 17th of August, Ampara Divisional Secretary informs the State Timber Corporation that the kumbuk tree in question had fallen onto the farmland of one H.G. Ananda Galapati residing at number 3/A/93 in the Kotavera Grama Seva division and that it has been removed. However, the brother of this individual had this to say.
සහෝදරයා ඉන්න මෙහෙනමේ කොළඹ පළාතේ සහෝදරයා වෙනුවෙන් ඒ ඉඩම බලා කියාගන්නේ නම් අපි තමයි.
My brother does not live here. He is in Colombo. We are the caretakers of this land in question. We did not inform any of the state institutions to remove this tree in question. However, when I went to bathe recently, I noticed a large number of vehicles in the area. When I took a closer look, I noticed that the tree had been felled and bundled. The pickup of the divisional secretariat was there. I did not recognize them. The only person I knew there was the forest officer.
දන්න කියන මිනිස්සෙකුට හිටියා මෙතන පොස්ට් එකේ හිටපු නිලධාරී.
And here's what else is coming up on the news tonight.
Coming up on the news tonight, US police have fired tear gas and stun grenades at protesters in Ferguson, Missouri. Pakistan's opposition leader Imran Khan vows to lead anti-government demonstrations into the capital's heavily armed red zone. Details of these stories coming up on the Newsfirst International Desk.
Welcome back to the news, and now we have Amina Mustafa joining us with the latest weather report.
Good evening and welcome to Weather First. Several parts of the island which were plagued by the recent drought received welcome rains once again yesterday.
The Anuradhapura district received about 9 millimeters of rainfall yesterday, while the searing temperature of 35 degrees Celsius experienced in the district dropped to a more mild 25 degrees Celsius. Some parts of the Ampara district, which had been without rain for about 4 months, received 17.5 millimeters of rainfall yesterday. However, the Newsfirst team that visited the area noted that the rain was insufficient to have any significant impact on dried up reservoirs in the district. The Met Department notes that some parts of the Polonnaruwa district received 11 millimeters of rainfall last night. However, bowsers are still being used to provide clean drinking water for the people in the area.
While several drought-hit parts of the country are receiving intermittent showers in the latter stages of the southwestern monsoon, will this situation prevail? The Weather Centre made inquiries from the Met Department.
We can expect rain in those areas to a certain extent. We can expect thunder showers after mid-September. The main 72 reservoirs belonging to the irrigation department showed water levels of 13% by last Friday, but it is currently showing 14% as of today. We have not yet seen a rise in the overall water levels of the reservoirs belonging to the irrigation department after the rainfall.
Taking a look at the forecast for the next 24 hours, the Met Department is predicting that the intermittent showers or thunderstorms could be experienced at any time of the day in the western, Sabaragamu and central provinces and in the Gaul and Mathura districts. The Met Department is also forecasting showers or thunderstorms in the other parts of the island in the evening and night. While showers may be accompanied by strong winds, the department also advises the public to take precautions to prevent lightning-related accidents. While showers may be expected in the sea areas off the coast of the island, the department is forecasting wind speeds of up to 50 kilometers per hour off the coast extending from Puttalam to Potuville via Gaul and Hambantota, adding that these seas could be choppy as a result.
Moving to news from Parliament, leader of the JVP Anurag Kumar Dissanayake charges that commissions appointed since 2005 have proved to be of no use. He made the statement in Parliament today. Chief Government Whip Minister Dinesh Gunawardena responded to the allegation.
They said since the act which is utilised to appoint commissions does not mention the appointments need to be presented to Parliament, they did not do so. I would like to know whether there is a clause in the act which states that this does not need to be presented to Parliament.
The report is presented to the President, who is the official in charge of making these appointments. There is no clause in the Act which calls for this report to be presented to the Parliament.
They appointed commissions to look into the murder in Chilau, the murder in Katunayaka, the events that unfolded in Ratupassala. A presidential commission is appointed whenever some sort of controversial situation occurs in the country. However, we have no right to know what the findings of these commissions are. Headlines are printed saying the President intervenes and appoints a three-man commission, or a commission consisting of one person, or commissions consisting of retired persons or university lecturers. Honourable Speaker, please present the reports of these commissions before Parliament. I would like to know why this isn't being done.
The Speaker and the House should take into consideration this request. He is asking for something to be tabled in Parliament. If some action needs to be taken, the government is willing to discuss this. We are not obliged to table these reports.
A proposal forwarded by the JVP to create a proper mechanism under the existing laws to remove houses of low-income earning families was defeated in the Western Provincial Council today.
In general, their dwellings are illegal. However, their votes are valid. They are removing the dwellings of people who lived in locations for nearly 50 to 60 years. They have acted in the 34th Watta, the 188th Watta in Wanathamulla, as well as in Kota Road, Bakery Watta and Kalutara in contravention to the UDS Act 28 Clause Part 1A. They need to provide proper notice as well as file a case in the Magistrates Court before clearing their houses. Honourable Chairman, we cannot accept their argument that this is being done in a legal manner. Those who came from the village to the Colombo city to engage in business or to buy goods for their businesses did not have a good atmosphere in the past. We will correct this and remove these illegal establishments. We will create a more meaningful system for everyone. The activities that have taken place were all aimed in creating a better environment for people to carry out their businesses. The government is doing this disregarding about 1,000 or 2,000 votes that we might lose. However, some political parties who are canvassing for 10 to 15 votes are attempting to take advantage of this situation politically. The members of the council then voted on the proposal forwarded by Sunil Watagala.
योजनाවට පක්ෂව ඡන්ද 24ක්ද योजनाවට විපක්ෂව ඡන්ද 32ක්ද ඡන්දයෙන් වැළකී කවුරුවත් නැහැ. ඔය ඒ අනුව වැඩි ඡන්ද 8කින් ප්‍රතික්ෂේප වෙනවා යෝජනාව. ඒ කියන්නේ ගල් සභාවේ කලබන් කියන එක.
Now, subsequent to the council sessions, Western Provincial Councillor Susil Kindalpitia expressed the following views.
If the people do not receive the assistance of the local government body to carry out their activities, and if the representatives intimidate each other with the use of weapons, Honourable Chairman, the situation in Kolonava is different. Representatives of other political parties are threatened. You cannot do any work at the Kolonava Urban Council. The goons of a certain parliamentarian threaten everyone that walks through the gates of the Urban Council. Even councillors themselves are threatened. Please look into the situation in Kolonava.
Meanwhile, the opposition leader of the Central Provincial Council, Ranjit Alavihara, accuses the Chief Minister of the province of appointing monitoring councillors in order to cover up the inefficiency of the Provincial Council's ministries. He says that the council has not been informed of these appointments.
I believe that a large number of councillors are opposed to the Chief Minister at present. They are working against the Chief Minister. 30 monitoring councillors have been appointed by him effective from the 1st of September. I believe they are receiving a wage for this, as well as vehicles. All this is being done to cover up the problems. He is appointing them as monitoring councillors in order to cover up the problems in the provincial council. None of the opposition councillors have been informed.
Lakshman Yapawewardena, the Minister of Investment Promotion, says the Board of Investment has been completely modernised with the intention of meeting foreign investment targets. The Minister added that more attention has now been focused on the rural industrial projects.
The government foreign direct investment or the FDI target for the year 2016 is $5 billion. However, as at the end of 2013, FDI flows to Sri Lanka amounted to $1.39 billion. In order to reach the target of $5 billion, FDI flows to the country will have to be tripled over the next 2 years.
It is our hope to implement a plan to establish at least 5 factories in every district. We are hoping to supply the necessary facilities for rural areas through this plan. Investors will be able to obtain the land and make payments over several years. We will build the factories and provide utilities. We have prepared a system where the investor can make payments over time.
The minister also revealed that the government will be providing factories and lands on which previous governments initiated projects that were later shut down to new investors.
69 factories have been shut down. We are now collating all information on these factories and are freeing them up for us to acquire the land. We are looking at bank problems, instances where they have complete ownership of the land and the factory, and areas where only the land is left or where the land has been mortgaged. We are looking at sending new investors to these factories.
Day 2 of Defence Seminar 2014, organised by the Sri Lanka Army, got underway in Colombo today.
The theme of this year's seminar, the 4th in a series initiated in 2011 on a conceptual notion of Defence Secretary Gotabaya Rajapaksa, is Sri Lanka Challenges to a Rising Nation. The seminar features a number of presentations and panel discussions and is seen the participation of a broad range of representatives of foreign militaries, eminent scholars, intellectuals and think tanks.
In the past, wars were fought in different domains and the victory was established on the land. But in the future, wars will be fought in multiple domains and the victory will be determined in the information domain. Therefore, information should be essentially a branch of any doctrine or a strategy. We are not a conscripted army but a citizens army. Therefore, we cannot divorce from the people and their will. In essence, current and future land force doctrine must support the national requirement.
Defence Seminar 2014 will conclude tomorrow.
Meanwhile, The Hindu reported today that the Supreme Court of India had agreed to hear together the petitions filed by DMK President M. Karunanidhi and the Tamil Nadu Chief Minister Jayalalitha seeking a direction to the Indian central government to retrieve Katrithivu Island from Sri Lanka. A 2-judge bench posted for final hearing the 2 petitions. The centre had already rejected the demand, saying that Katrithivu Island could not be retrieved from Sri Lanka as demanded by the petitioners. It had said the question of retrieval did not arise as no territory belonging to India was ceded nor sovereignty relinquished to Sri Lanka.
Welcome back to the news.
As twin protests in Islamabad entered a 5th day, Pakistan police said they had arrested some 150 supporters of protest leaders overnight in Punjab province in a crackdown ahead of widening demonstrations in the capital.
Meanwhile, over in the US, President Barack Obama said that Attorney General Eric Holder Jr. will go to Ferguson tomorrow to meet with FBI agents conducting a federal civil rights investigation into the shooting of an unarmed black teenager.
Zulfiq Farzan reports for the Newsfirst International Desk.
US police have fired tear gas and stun grenades at protesters in Ferguson, Missouri, a week after protests and outrage sparked by the shooting dead of a black teenager by a white policeman. Protesters threw small projectiles, possibly rocks, at police clad in white gear and flanked by armored vehicles. Missouri's governor had lifted a curfew for the St. Louis suburb of Ferguson as National Guard troops were called out. The National Guard deployment was the latest step by authorities to end the looting and burning of stores that have punctuated protests and stirred questions about race relations in the United States since the shooting dead of Michael Brown, age 18, on the 9th of August. National Guard troops could be seen walking on the fringes of the gathering, keeping a distance from the protesters. President Barack Obama said he told the governor the use of the National Guard should be limited and urged healing instead of violence. An autopsy conducted on behalf of Brown's family showed he was shot at least 6 times, including twice in the head. The path of one bullet indicates he may have been lowering his head in surrender when the fatal shot hit. Law enforcement officials have been widely criticized for using excessive force. Pakistan's opposition leader Imran Khan has promised to lead anti-government demonstrations into the capital's heavily armed red zone hours after his party announced its resignation from parliament. Khan made the call after his party announced it would resign from parliament to try to force the government to hold new elections. The moves are part of a high-stakes showdown following 4 days of protests in the capital of the nuclear-armed nation led by former international cricketer Khan and cleric Tahil ul Qadri, who controls a network of Islamic schools and charities. The government has said Khan and Qadri are free to demonstrate peacefully but will not be permitted to enter Islamabad's red zone, which is home to many Western embassies, the Supreme Court and government ministries. Khan accuses Prime Minister Nawaz Sharif of rigging last year's election that he won in a landslide. Both Khan and Sharif have rejected negotiations offered by the government. West African nations that have been severely affected by the outbreak of Ebola have been urged to screen all people at international airports, seaports and major land crossings in order to prevent the spread of the deadly disease. The World Health Organization said that the authorities should stop anyone with signs of the virus from traveling, days after it warned the magnitude of the outbreak was vastly underestimated. The WHO reiterated that the risk of getting infected with the virus on an aircraft was small and there was no need for wider travel or trade restrictions.
Ebola is not an airborne disease. Ebola is transmitted by contact of sick person and the transmission is done by the body fluid.
Ebola is one of the world's most deadly diseases and kills the majority of those infected. It has killed at least 1,145 people in 4 African nations: Liberia, Sierra Leone, Guinea and Nigeria.
Starting off with some cricket news. The Sri Lankan squad for the first and second ODIs against the visiting Pakistan team were named today.
That's right. Spinner Suraj Randeep, paceman Dhammika Prasad, all-rounder Thisara Pereira and Upul Tharanga have been included in the squad. Incidentally, this will be Suraj Randeep's first ODI appearance since 2011. Meanwhile, the Sri Lankan and Pakistani cricket teams engaged in a goodwill promotion campaign today. They were seen seeking to raise funds for the Sri Lankan team that will participate in the physically challenged cricket tournament. The two teams also held a special coaching session for the Lankan physically challenged cricket team. Moving to some badminton news now, Sri Lankan shuttler Thilini Hendaheva secured a victory in her preliminary round game in the women's singles badminton event at the Youth Olympics. She defeated Chloe Kadu of the Seychelles in straight sets. The Youth Olympics is taking place in Nanjing, China.
The 99th National Junior Tennis Championship took place today as well.
Over 750 tennis players are competing at this year's championships, which is sponsored by Sports First. Organised by the Sri Lanka Tennis Association, the championships will conclude on the 24th.
Well, that's a wrap of your primetime news for tonight. Thank you for joining us. For the Newsfirst team, I'm Nicola Dizoiza.
And I'm Madhushka Balasuriya. Thanks for stopping by.
Take care and good night.